Everyone, so I wanted to create another video on the support you're going to have in the program and how what I've discovered about kind of meeting with those people and maybe the advantages and disadvantages of that. So just so you know, you will have a program mentor assigned to you. So that's not someone you choose. Prior to that, like I mentioned in the video on applications, you have an enrollment counselor, and that's someone that's just basically pushing you through the application process. And they actually don't really know a lot about the specific information about your program. They may. I think that they are assigned to a specific college within the university. But when I asked some particular questions, they weren't able to answer them with a lot of clarity and detail. But the program mentor is somebody that you're paired up with a couple weeks before the start of your program, and they send you an email and they send you an outline of how to get started. And from there, it's up to you and them to decide how often you want to meet throughout your program. Now, I have watched some videos online that basically stated some mentors require you to meet with them every week or every couple weeks. And they're very firm about that. My program mentor, she's much more relaxed. So my sense is that it's a bit of a negotiation or between you and the program mentor how often you want to meet, but it's possible that some have more of a strict idea of how you'll succeed. So for me, I don't think I will succeed well by meeting with somebody every single week because I've already established myself as a self-directed learner, so I can do things on my own. I think that she will come in handy when I need to adjust my timelines, because you do, in the online platform, you actually set out specific timelines as to when you're going to complete each course. And once you do that, it's kind of set into the system. So if you need to change it, you need to contact your program mentor so they can change it on their end. So I guess they have access to the back end of the portal and can manipulate or change those timelines. I also think it would be useful if you feel like you are getting behind on your work, and they can, give you some tips on how to get motivated on what to work on next. But when it comes to the specific curriculum, I think they have a general idea of what is required. So for example, I had asked my program mentor, like, well, how long should my performance assessments be? There was no, I had been used to, even in undergrad and graduate studies in my previous degree, having very strict word counts. So, at undergrad, it was more like 1,000, 2,000, sometimes 3,000 words a paper. In graduate school, sometimes it was up to like 3,000, 4,000 plus words per paper. She basically was able to say, it varies. Like, some people submit a 4-page paper, other people submit a 15-page paper. Based on my tendencies, I feel like I'm someone that submits longer papers, like more on the 10 to 15 pages. And that might seem like a lot, but it's double spaced, and I'll do this in another video, but there's a lot to the assessments. It's not like they're hard questions they're asking you, but it's just like a lot of components. Like, it's asking, for example, with theories, like, break down the 3 elements of this specific theory and then relate it to a specific context, and then relate that context to your analysis of that, and then do this and then do that. So again, there's a lot that goes involved. Now, the point of me talking about this is that the program mentor has a general idea of like those kind of responses, but like if I was to ask a specific question about a specific theory and what the evaluators are looking for, she might tell me, or he, whoever you have, might tell me or you to talk to your instructor. Now, the instructor is a little bit different. Like, I would say that they are definitely a content matter expert. And what I mean by that is that generally they know a lot about the course material, and they know a lot about the resources that are on there, but as well as, like, if I'm learning about behaviorism, and or if I'm learning about let's just say constructivism learning theory. They're going to know what are the key elements. They're going to know a lot about what the evaluators will probably be marking as competent, like if you're on the right track. So I would say that some people will rely more on their mentor because they need more of the motivational piece, and other people will rely more on the instructor. And they book their schedule, like you book separately, and they don't really connect. Like they probably know each other through the system, but they don't really communicate, I don't believe. I suppose that they can communicate with one another. For example, like my program mentor, when I was submitting one of my papers, you have to submit it to this system that basically confirms that you're not plagiarizing. And then they have this rule that 30% of your paper can be sourced, like meaning that you can collect other sources, but a majority of the paper needs to be your own thoughts and expressions in writing and voice and whatever. So it's scanning for that, but it's also scanning if you're using a specific source, like the textbook that they use or the couple textbooks that they give you, that it's not the same source. So I think it's that 10% of one specific source can be used, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know how else to really say it, but you can't use a source more than 10% of your paper, one source, but you can use other ones up to 30%. So anyways, this program is evaluating that, and so I had a question about that because it had said that I had self-plagiarized, which was confusing because that was my first assignment, and I was like, I don't know how I could plagiarize myself. I had never written about any of this before. But what had happened is I'd uploaded my document multiple times to this system, and then because it had been uploaded to the system, it had recognized it more than once, and then it just thought I was uploading the same thing twice. The point is that she was able to contact my program mentor, someone who was related to that department, and she basically right away I messaged her in the morning, and I said, hey, could you meet like sometime today? I want to submit this assignment. I'm having an issue. And I was able to get in that day. She kind of gave me some time slots. You can click a button to look at their schedule, but there were no time slots, but she was able to finagle something and get me in. And then she messaged this person on her little computer messaging system, and then they figured out, oh, it's fine, don't worry about it, it's not a big deal. So she kind of was able to answer those questions. And like I mentioned in another video, something else that I was unsure about was some of the content that I was writing about. And that's where I quickly emailed my instructor, or actually I didn't email her, I booked an appointment. Now my mentor had told me it can take a while to get booked in, like a little bit more time than it is to book with a mentor. So to keep that in mind, like maybe within the week I could get in. So I discovered that it was probably within a couple days I could get in. By get in, I mean book an appointment with the instructor. As soon as I met with the instructor, what I discovered was like she was very friendly and kind of wanted to get to know me. It wasn't just like, okay, what's your question? She was just like, oh, tell me a little bit about yourself. And so it felt like a warm conversation. It wasn't cut and dry. And then right away, I think what she was trying to discern is like my background, so that because some of the writing that you do is related to your background. So she was able to kind of figure out what my educational background was that I was writing about. And then I just said, I'm writing about this specific part of a theory and I'm not sure if that's on track. And she basically was like, no, actually that's probably something I would avoid because of this and this and this. So she explained that. She said you could consider thinking about writing about this topic and this topic from this theorist and this theorist, or this person who propounded this idea. And then so she actually really immediately, like direct path, she just pointed me towards the right direction. As soon as she explained it, it was like, oh, right, that makes sense. So I found it very helpful. Now, when I listen to people talk about the instructors online, like other YouTube videos, some of them had mentioned like, oh, they didn't really need to access that resource, their instructors, very often. And I could see why. Like, if you feel like you're self-directed and you can figure out the information, and you could probably search it on Google. But I just found it like way more direct to just talk to the instructor, get the right information, who basically said, this is what the evaluators are looking for, probably, and then just redirect myself instead of having to kind of stumble around. And because it only took a couple days to get booked in, it wasn't really a big deal. And my observation was that it took a couple days because she wasn't working those days, but the days she was working, there were free appointments. So it's possible to get in with even that day. So I wouldn't hesitate to book an appointment with an instructor. And again, she was quite friendly. Also, it looks like that instructor is and again, I'm talking on behalf of the specific program I'm in. I don't know about other programs, but the program I'm in is the Curriculum and Instruction Master's Program, and you have kind of like 4 main courses, and then the next 4, and then the next 4, or whatever. So the instructor is assigned to those specific first 4 courses, which I would suggest they do have a little bit of a relationship, the content matter. So I will definitely be reaching out to her again if I have any questions about course content. Just keep in mind that for the program I'm in, when I was setting my timeline for completion, it looked like you can move them around. So for example, if I want to do, like, I had a bit of a map of how much work was in each course, because it said, oh, this course is going to need 3 assessments completed, and this one is 2 assessments. Again, most were 3. I've said this in another video, but a couple were 2 assessments. So I thought, well, what if I move it around based on my schedule? Like that 2 assessments might work better in this week. So even though it kind of carves out a path of, like, these are the courses you would probably do in order, it looks like you can move them around a bit as well. And the reason I'm telling you this is that if you're unsure about that and you want to move them around and shift them around, you would talk to your program mentor about that. That wouldn't be something you talk to the instructor about, even though they might be assigned to those blocks of courses. You'll have to confirm that, because maybe you can't move all the courses around. Like, there is probably a logical and preferred sequence, but I think it is possible to shift them a bit based on your needs. So again, I would recommend connecting with these people. And it's possible that they will force you, strongly encourage you, the mentor, to meet every week. I have watched videos where it was very much, you must meet with me every week to check in, and those meetings are 15 minutes. They're quite short. I haven't really done that, and my observation would be, or my assumption would be, that it would be, okay, how's it been going? What are you working on? Kind of like a facilitator of the process would kind of navigate with you. But again, I'm not too sure because I haven't done that. But I do email my mentor, like I give her an update. I said, oh, I finished this. And you will definitely need to kind of keep them in the loop, him or her, when you finish that first block of 4 courses, because then you need to create timelines for the next 4. And if you finish that 4th one kind of earlier than your timeline and you want to get going on the next chunk, you need to let them know so that they can work with you to set the next timelines, or else you can't get access to those courses. So generally you can get access to the courses in the block. So if I finish, even if I don't finish one of those courses, I can enroll in the next one. So there's a bit of an overlap between them so that you're not waiting for an assignment to get finished or marked or evaluated before going to the next one. But within that first 4 courses, I think that to move on to the next block of 4 courses, that's where your program mentor has to come in order for you to kind of move to the next chunk. So hopefully that makes sense. And again, I'm fairly new to the program. That's just my initial observations and kind of insights, but I think that's good for you to hear it, because I'm coming in with like a fresh perspective and a clear kind of objective point of view of, you know, how this is going to work for me right now. But again, it might change. Like maybe I'll decide that the program mentor, you know, situation wasn't as beneficial later on, but I'll keep you updated. So if you're interested in like following me with this along this journey, I would consider subscribing so that you can know when I'm going to post another video on an update. And I'll probably do like a monthly update of the curriculum, of how like the curriculum is going, but I'll post little videos here and there of my experience along the way within the month. More to do with kind of like the technicalities of and the structure of the program, rather than like, oh, this is how it's going. So hopefully that's helpful, and we will see you in the next video.